Good morning, everyone. I'm Jonathan Littell. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. It's Friday, you made it. Good job, good work. All right, there we go. For some reason, no one joined on Instagram like they normally do. I'm like, maybe Instagram's broken. Oh, goodness. What a great day. What a good week I've had. It's been a busy week. It's been a hectic week, but a productive week. And productive weeks are good weeks because you can look back at it and say, whether some things went right or wrong, at the end of the day, it was still pretty good. That's all you can really ask for, Have a good week, do good work, help people out, and move forward. For some reason, this chat program doesn't seem to be aggregating. Not exactly sure why. We'll give it a minute to catch up. Jason says, thanks for the books. You're very welcome. I'm glad you all enjoy the work. I definitely do not mind doing the work. I enjoy doing the work. So that's good. Oh, there we go. Hi, Mark. Glad everyone's here. If you are a poker coaching member today, we are having a webinar at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be discussing a fun spot, so that'll be a lot of fun. Make sure you were there. If you miss it, you can always go back and watch the replay. Should probably write a note to make sure I look at that. PC webinar. Okay. Today we're going to talk about giving more than you take. Now, as someone right here in the chat, Ava says, if you give more than you take, we should be losing players. That's not what I mean. It's very important to recognize, but we'll start with poker and then go to life. In poker, you are either a person who wins money or a person who loses money, or a person who provides entertainment or detracts from entertainment. Now, winning poker play. Oh gosh, someone's trying to call me. Winning poker players win money in exchange for entertainment. If they do not entertain you, if they do not entertain the bad players will eventually quit or find people who are more entertaining to play with. Losing poker players who lose money are trading their money for an experience. So winning players trade time/entertainment for money. Losing players trade money for a good experience. So figure out which side of the equation you're on. And also recognize that, the money is a zero-sum game minus the rig, so it's even like a detractor, right? But if you think about it, you can actually provide immense value in the form of entertainment quality, right? And just being a nice, good person. So it's important to recognize that is the case. Like, you can win money from poker and still provide immense value. And you do that by creating a good game. I mean, you see this happen in cash games all the time now. I mean, there's currently this, I don't know if it's a debate, more of a proclamation by a lot of people that if you just win at poker and you do not provide a good time for people, you're not welcome in some games. Which is, hey, it's fine, I get it, right? If you're not providing value, then you cannot come. I mean, we see now some of the biggest stakes tournaments in the world being private to some extent. And that's because they don't want people who are not good for poker in their opinion in their games. All private cash games are, private. And if you do not have the opportunity, or if you don't get to play home games, if you don't get invited to play these things, you may want to ask, why am I not getting invited? Well, because people think you are going to take more than you give. So you have to make it clear, crystal clear, that you are not going to take more than you give, and you have to provide a good time. Mark says, Gerardo had a list on his Twitter about who's bad for the game. I mean, it seemed to me that every item on the list was the quality of a good player. How can you both be good for the game and a winner? Well, realize that you, as a winning player, are taking money out of the game, right? So if you're taking money out of the game, then that's a detraction from you, right? So you have to make up for it in the form of other things. I mean, in LA, there were stories of, I guess, no need to say their names, some poker players who were thought to be like okay poker players, they would create games as the winner. So first off, they're making the game. That's a service. Next, they are teaching people to play, like celebrities who have infinite money, which is a service. Next, they are comping the celebrities to all sorts of fun stuff, like front row seats to boxing matches that you can only get if you're a casino gambler and you get comped or whatnot, right? So that person, in exchange for winning the celebrity's money, which to be fair, I'm sure the celebrities could get comped, etc. if they felt like it. But in exchange for winning the celebrity's money, they provided the celebrities with fantastic experiences. So, just because you win money does not mean that you detract from the game, and don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, you are detracting from the game, but you are not necessarily... you have to make sure that you are making up for it, is what it amounts to. You can provide value to people and still not be the jolly type. Yeah, you can. And then we have Stone Cold saying, what if you just want to listen to some music and play some cards? Well, recognize that if you are trying to do that in a private game, people may not want to be around you. And that's okay, right? They don't have to like your existence there. They don't have to invite you, is what it amounts to. So in games that are private, and as more and more games become private, it's going to be very important that you recognize your role in the game. Now, if you're going to go there and listen to music and play cards and give away all your money, you'll probably be welcome. You can play as much as you like. You can do whatever you want. It is worth mentioning there are different personality types, right? I'm a little bit introverted, believe it or not. And sometimes I just don't feel like talking. And sometimes you have to make yourself feel like talking. And that's something that you just have to do if you want to have good opportunities. The best opportunities. I mean, by far, some of the biggest winning cash game sessions I've ever had were in games where you had to get invited. And how do I get invited? Being someone who makes it clear I'm a winning player, well, people like being around me because I provide a good experience. Our gallery says, Phil Ivey seems to sit the bill. Nothing against him, but he seems kind of stern and wins. Well, he may not get invited to all the private home games. He also has made himself so good to the point that people want to play with him, which is something that most people also won't be able to do. You'll see some poker players who are very stoic, very stern, and also, like, Phil Ivey jokes around. He's fun in private games. So, at least in my experience, he was nothing but nice. I mean, he gets it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a good example of someone who maybe is a little bit more introverted, a little bit more stern, stoic, whatever you want to call it, and he makes it work. Just like me, right? I do my best to make it work. So it's important to recognize the differences. I mean, Patrick Antonius has said many times that he does not like the whole private cash game thing. I think. Pretty sure he said that. Could be wrong, don't quote me. But anyway, another good example of someone who seems to be generally quiet. That said, he gets out, he goes and plays tennis with people. I know that for a fact. He he does lots of athletic stuff, which a lot of people like. You play tennis with me, I'll play poker with you. That's how it works for a lot of people. Mark says, the whole private game thing stinks because it forces you to play politics. Many of you like poker because it's supposed to be free of nonsense. Supposed to be. Well, to be fair, think about it, right? There actually are politics involved in poker. You have to have money to play the game. If you don't have money, you don't get to play. That right there means you must have done something in life, whether you had money given to you or earned money, that gave you the, right or the ability, whatever you want to call it, to sit and play in that game, right? If you have no money, you just can't go into Bobby's Wood and sit and hang out and chat. Like, no, you have to be willing to pony up and play. And that is politics to some extent. It's a different form of politics, but don't necessarily be closed-minded with the idea of having money does not necessarily indicate that you have succeeded at a specific game, right? And now, perhaps the game's shifting, where you have to be friendly. Anyway, this talk wasn't even about poker, but you all wanted to go there. It's important to give more than you take in all aspects of life. Like, say you're going to go get a job, right? When you go to get a job, sure, you should wonder what's in it for you. But at the same time, recognize that you need to provide immense value to your employer. And if you don't, they're not going to hire you and you're not going to stick around because you're not a good employee. You don't provide value, right? Now, certainly some companies have like loss leaders where they realize they're going to lose money on one department to make money on another department. But if you want to really succeed in life, your goal should be to progress quickly and efficiently by providing immense value. Basically, you want to become so good that you must be noticed. You want your work to be so good, your skills to be so good, your personality to be so good to the point that people want to be around you and they are happy to reward you because you do such a great job. So that's important. I think a lot of people instead go to their job and they think, all right, how much am I going to get paid? What's the minimum I can put in? And I mean, it's okay to have that attitude. Just recognize you're not going to progress and you're not going to get good things in life. Let's see. Our gal is referencing Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk, which I think is a great book. It's the name of the book. Basically, you give, and then you take. And it's not even take. People are happy to give to you. I'm a good example of this, actually, where I give out all sorts of free content, like this right here, right? And inevitably, some of you buy my stuff, and it lets me not have to go and play poker all the time. And it's a business, right? And it's nice when your business also lines up with your like ethics and your values, right? And I want to make a point to help others. And helping others, when you help others, inevitably some of them will turn around and reward you. And I mean, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I am giving more than I am taking from life and from poker. And I've won a whole lot of money from poker, so I need to make sure to give back a whole lot in the form of, well, not money, but entertainment and whatnot. And to be fair, I'm even like giving back with free giveaways and sometimes losing money on the training site and losing money on content. And it is what it is. I recognize that because I'm happy to give. In a job, you'll always give more than you take. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Typically, though, if you what am I trying to say? Typically, if you do not give value, or there are other people in your job who just do a better job than you, they provide more value than you do, then you will not progress. I've been sticking to workouts. I've been in every day this week. I'm going to go as soon as I'm done today. Not super long workouts, just like, solid, hard, 30 minutes, and it's good. What I do before I was a poker player, I worked at a comic book store, I worked at an airport fueling airplanes, and it was great. Poker coaching was hacked. Go to pokercoaching.com/security to read all about that. That was a whole lot of fun. We have dealt with the issue as far as we know, but the more I learn about cybersecurity, the more I learn that if somebody wants to hack you, they can. And that's unnerving. Many of the biggest companies in the world that have financial information, fortunately I don't have any of your financial information, many of the biggest companies in the world that have your money have been hacked. And if they're getting hacked, certainly little Jonathan Little can if someone wants to try to get him. What comic book store I work at, it was called Home Field in Pensacola, Florida. But I didn't work there all that long. I worked at the airport a decent amount of the time, and I liked the airport because it allowed me lots of free time. All right, let's see. Next. So when you are providing value, you want to make a point to, assuming you want to be around for the long run, which I do, you want to make sure that you are providing value in a beneficial way as opposed to a destructive way. I mean, if you just watch YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, some people are making a point to spread negativity, right? And that's not good. That may win in the short run. Great way to get followers or people to pay attention to you in the short run is to trash other people. But that will definitely not work in the long run. Also, you're going to find that building up the community, working with the community, working with others, like being a positive force in their life as opposed to an antagonistic or someone who tears down things, that's not going to work out so well for you in the long run either. And it's always interesting to me because I am happy to sit down and do the work indefinitely. And it seems like a lot of other people, especially in the poker space, they try to get popular. Inevitably, they don't get as popular as they want, or they don't, extract as much money from all of you as they want, and they quit quickly. And what a lot of people don't realize is that in probably all industries, in order to actually make it, you have to either start slow and provide a lot of value over time, which is kind of what I did, or just be like the absolute best to the point that people will not ignore what you were doing. I mean, imagine you take like the best online player, if they were putting out the content like I was making, they'd be making millions of dollars a year because they would be providing an immense amount of value, right? To be fair, if they were putting out as much content as me, maybe they wouldn't have time to be the best in the world. Now that I think about it, I probably put out more content than almost everyone. I may be the best poker player who puts out as much content as me. So maybe I am doing this. That's tough to say. Have I read the Ryan Holiday book Stillness? I have not. But I'm sure it's fine. What can you do to give back to Jonathan Littell / your community? Well, this is a good question. And this is how you all can provide value, right? What can you do? Well, first off, you can just be involved. You can post in the forums, post in the Slack channel, be here, post comments, right? Leave reviews, write a testimonial, tell people about Jonathan Littell and his poker. It's very important to think of ways that you can be more involved and spread the word of the people who you like and who you think add value. Am I talking about Alvin Teaches Poker? No, that guy. I was not referring to him at all. But no, I mean, look. Whenever you progress up the ranks, inevitably there are going to be various haters out there who try to make themselves seem relevant like you, or at your level, by trying to tear you down. I mean, we talked about this right at the beginning. It wasn't on my mind because, believe it or not, Jonathan Littell does have quite a few haters out there. And I get it, right? I have taken a large swath of marginal poker players and made them winning poker players. And that sucks for the players who are barely winning. A long time ago, this guy sent me an email basically telling me that I ruined his life because his home game did have 4 whales in it. And then one of them found Jonathan Littell. He told the other whales, and all the whales became pretty good. And so instead of the guy making like $100 an hour, now he breaks even, and I ruined his life. Sucks for him, but he did not progress at the same rate his opponents did. And to be fair, you will very rarely progress at the same rate as your opponents. But funny enough, he a year or two later, he randomly emailed me and said, "You know what? I actually started studying your stuff too, and now I'm beating 5 to no limit every day in Vegas for like $100 an hour." So it's like, he made it. He came around, and a lot of people come around. There are some very obvious marketing tactics people use to try to tear down others. The one that works the best, the one that appears to work the best until people do any diligence whatsoever, is they'll just blatantly take your work out of context. This is usually the way people try to attack me, is they'll take like a 1 minute thing that I say, or a 1 second thing that I say, and then apply it to a different context, which is what the guy did the other day, or it's like straight up lie, right? I had a few people straight up lie on a podcast, a popular poker podcast, and they're known to be like trolly, not very good humans, and it's okay, right? I get it. Though people who are attracted to people who blatantly lie and take work out of context are not the people who want to actually improve their lives. These are people who want to, try to seem relevant without actually providing value. A bunch of members have a Facebook group. Awesome. That you participate in. Many hands are reviewed and bluffs are mocked. Louis Philippe does most of the bluffs. That sounds about right. And the other concept someone just said here is that yes, I perhaps ruined one guy's home game, but I made 4 other people way happier and have way more fun. And it's true, right? They were willing to do the work. And by some miracle, the person who was unhappy, disgruntled, they came around. They realized, oh my gosh, I actually can improve at poker, and we can all win together. I have a blog post I wrote a long time ago think it's jonathanlittlepoker.com/disgruntled. If you are disgruntled or frustrated at your situation in life, the answer is not to lash out and be angry. The answer is to figure out what you need to do to improve your life. But, the other day, for those referencing it, basically the guy took something that I did and then took it completely out of context. I was referring to a situation against exploitatable players, and they tried to say, oh, this is not good GTO poker, so it's bad. And actually, I was just watching a video that Jonathan Jaffe made, an introduction video for people, and I didn't prompt this or anything. He's like, yeah, if you're playing straight GTO, you are screwing up. And it's true. You need to learn how to play fundamentally sound, but you definitely need to learn how to adjust to your opponents, and that's what we teach people. So it's also worth realizing that we don't all know everything. Sometimes I'm going to be wrong. Sometimes you're going to be wrong. And while things like solvers are good for giving you an answer, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right answer. It's almost always not the right answer because there's the saying, garbage in, garbage out, and a lot of people put in garbage, meaning give me the GTO answer, and the answer it gives you for your actual scenario is going to be garbage. And it's also important to realize that what you think your opponents are doing is not necessarily going to be right either. Anyway. It's important to recognize that the goal is to give more than you take. So, let's see, what else do I have? Oh, don't keep score. This is very important. Where was I listening to this? I think it was on Freakonomics or somewhere, where they were looking at pettiness. And they were essentially saying that those who keep track of every bill and keep score, essentially, these people are much unhappier, and they get divorced way more often. And I have never really been one to keep score. Like, if someone does me wrong, I just try to let it go. If someone gives me a gift, I'm happy about it, but it's not like I'm writing down, okay, they gave me a $100 gift, so I owe them $100, right? Next time I have to give them a gift or something like that. I'm not thinking like this. A lot of people, though, they really keep score about everything. If someone wrongs them, they're going to remember that for forever, and they're going to try to ruin that person's life. Some people, if you and your spouse, you have chores that you have to do at the house, maybe if you feel like you're doing 60% of the chores and you're annoyed about that kind of thing may build up and make you break up, which seems silly, right? I realize that I do my best to do as much as I can around the house, and I think it's probably actually very close to like 50% of the work, which is good, because it means I'm pulling my weight. But I realize that, like, for example, like whenever I leave and go out of town, my wife takes care of everything. And when I'm home, I sure better be on and do my best to take care of as close to everything as I can. And it's like I'm not feeling bad that I am taking care of the work. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, they will work at a job, do better than other people, and then over a short period of time not get recognition. And then they'll just get annoyed and disgruntled and frustrated. But in reality, you should want to be doing more work than other people. You want to be adding value. And it's an important thing to be aware of. Keep score at poker, though. So poker is a great example of this, where your short-term score does not really matter. What matters is how much are you winning on average. So you'll see some people who will constantly be clicking refresh on their poker account whenever they're playing, or they're always counting their stack to see if they're up or down. People who do that are often very short-sighted, because it doesn't matter if you're up or down on any individual session. What matters is, are you making good, profitable plays? Art Galloway says, your ex kept score all the time. Anything she could bring up, she could. That's why she's your ex now. Yeah. So anyway, that idea of pettiness. I don't know if pettiness is necessarily the right term, but that's the term that was used on the Freakonomics podcast. Essentially, it's important to not worry about nonsense, and most things are nonsense. Some of you are seeming to take this as me saying, don't keep track of your poker results. I did not say that. You should obviously keep track of your poker results. You should obviously use some sort of tracker, like Hold'em Manager or Poker Tracker, when you play online, because your goal is to make money at the end of the day and put in a lot of volume, right? If you put in a lot of volume in games you can beat, your results will go straight up. And I say straight up with infinite variance. If you're playing in games you can't beat, you're going to lose. But recognize we're talking about two very different things here, right? All things from poker do not apply to all other things. It's important to recognize that. But essentially, if you are doing a much better job than others, it will become very clear. Now, you want to make sure that you are doing a better job than others in things where you can actually influence the results, because otherwise you're just getting lucky, right? Like, for example, say we all go play slot machines. One of you is going to do best, or maybe I'm going to do best. But that doesn't mean we're necessarily a better slot machine player. That just means we are lucky. And if we're lucky, we shouldn't really be proud of that or anything like this, right? So you want to make sure that you're working hard. I mean, for all I know, maybe you study everything you can about slot machines and you go from losing to breaking even. Maybe that is something to be praised. But I think you all get what I'm saying, unless... I'm not getting exactly where I want to go. Basically, what I'm saying is you need to give way more than you take and recognize that it is good to give, not draining to give. And you're going to find that giving actually empowers you to some extent. It makes you feel good. I mean, like when you give to charity, this is a good example, right? I mean, you are taking your work, your time, your effort, and giving it to someone else or some other cause. And very often that feels good if you care about the thing, right? And same thing with donating your time, donating your works, whatever. Like every time there's a charity poker tournament in New York City and they ask me to donate something to them, I always donate something to them. And it costs me a few $100, but it's like, why not, right? It helps somebody out, makes me feel good, and you go from there. Let's see what I recommend for live tracking. I just use Excel on my computer, but phone's fine. Oh dear, you can't keep your eyes off Hold'em Trackers 2's active session tab while you're playing. Put that away. That's irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. Let's say you win at 7 big blinds per 100, EV 7 big blinds per 100. If you play a session of like 2,000 hands online, your EV big blind per 100 will be somewhere between like 40 and minus 30 over 2,000 hands. So does that matter? And the answer is no. You are just spending your mental energy on something that is completely irrelevant. You should be looking at your stats over 10,000 hands, and if you see a spot where you're like particularly losing money, then that's not good. But I mean, it's the same thing for people who play live cash games where you are in an active session. And if you say you buy in for $200 and you're always counting it, okay, now I have 195. All right, now I have 206. Like, you're just putting in emotional swings to your game for no real reason. Assuming you're, like, not trying to calculate how many big blinds you have. Like, if you have 95 or 105 big blinds, you're going to play basically the same, right? So, like, don't focus on irrelevant stuff. Don't focus on nonsense. And a lot of stuff is nonsense. What's a good heads-up display if you never used one before? I just use Hold'em Manager. Poker Tracker's fine. I'm certainly not like a super pro at heads-up displays or anything. And if you just watch a YouTube video, it will tell you what to do. Ivan says, what do you recommend if you have no discipline? Develop discipline in your life. Realize that whenever you go to play poker, you're not necessarily going to get to play very many hands. And that's okay. Your job, assuming you care about winning money, is to win money, and that means playing well. Do I still recommend Poker Snowy? Yes. All right, let's see what else I have written down here. Look at these scribbles. It's a miracle I can read this. I can barely read it, though, to be fair. I don't know what I was thinking this morning. Yeah, basically, if you want to succeed in life, if you want to scale your abilities, if you want to be disproportionately rewarded for your good work, try to get in a field where good work is rewarded, as opposed to a field where seniority is rewarded. Seniority is I hate seniority. Try to find yourself in a field where progress and production is rewarded as opposed to seniority, and then just be way more productive than everyone else. And you may say, well, I'm only at work 40 hours a week, so how am I supposed to make use of that? Well, study a lot. In the other 40 hours you have away from work, make it a 60-hour job. That's okay, right? You need to develop the ability to sit down and grind and get good at something. And a lot of people are very, very unwilling to sit down and grind to get good at something. They just want it easy. And if you want it easy, well, I can't really help you. I can help you become not so awful, but you're never going to be great. It's important to recognize that. What if you're comfortable with the way you've been playing and you're hesitant about incorporating new strategies? Well, realize the way you get good is by testing things and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Some people say, go back to the GTO people, right? They're like, oh, just play GTO and forget about everything else. Yeah, but then you're just leaving tons of money on the table. Some people say once you develop a winning strategy, don't touch it. But what if you're winning 5 big blinds per 100, where you could have been winning 7 big blinds per 100 if you touched it? So experiment, and your experimenting may lead to you winning at 3 big blinds per 100 for a while. Fine, revert and go back. It's not like you make a change and you have to make that change forever. I mean, a great example of this is the number of tables you play online. For example, let's say you normally 9 table, okay? And you try, what a lot of people do is they never really progress down in tables all that often. So what they do is they usually move up. So let's say you move up to 12 tables, and you see your win rate goes from 7 big blinds per 100 hands to 4 big blinds per 100 hands. Well, clearly, it's not worth making that jump. So you either need to stay at 9 tables or get better at multi-tabling. You may find, though, that, hey, if you drop down to, let's say, 6 tables, maybe you jump up to 12 big blinds per 100 hands. That's usually not going to be the case, but maybe you do jump up to 12 big blinds per 100 hands, which allows you to now have less variance, makes you happier, you win more often. Well, you have less variance and you win more often, which will make you happier, which allows you to put in more volume, which to some extent will mitigate the fact that you're playing fewer tables, and you'll move up way faster. So, I mean, be willing to make little changes to see what happens, right? And recognize that after 20,000 hands, if it's not going well, then go back to what you're doing before. It's okay. Studying your own hand history is vital to success. Yes, you need to pay attention to what you are doing incorrectly. If you're not paying attention to what you are doing correctly, then how are you going to get better? Whenever I do private coaching sessions, that is basically where we always go. It's almost a requirement. Come prepared with hands to discuss. Otherwise, I can give you a presentation on something that I think you may need to know about, and you can even tell me what you think you need to know about, but very often I'll find things that you don't even know you need to be thinking about that you're doing incorrectly. If you have the men buy and everyone around you has a big stack, does that mean you should wait and buy in with the same stack, or does it matter? Read my book, Jonathan Littell on Live No Limit Cash Games. It explains how much to buy in for. Essentially, you want the big stacks on your right, short stacks on your left. You want bad players on your right. And if you can cover the bad players and they're on your right, you definitely want to be covering them for the most part. Let's see. All right. So anyway, I want to get all of you in the habit of doing good work and not feeling bad about doing the good work. So many people, I hear them say, oh, but I worked so hard and then I didn't win any poker tournaments, or I worked so hard and I only have half the win rate I thought I would, right? And sometimes your results will exceed your expectations, but quite often they won't, especially in games where results they change, they're variable, right? And also, you need to recognize that just because you think you're going to have some win rate does not mean that you will have some win rate, or even that win rate is obtainable. One guy a long time ago came to me and said, oh, I've played 10 tournaments, I've cashed 8 of them, so I'm going to cash probably 80% of my tournaments. Maybe if I've been lucky, maybe I'll cash like 60% of my tournaments. So then he went and he played 100 more games and cashed like 2 of them. And it had devastated him, completely devastated. He was like, how could this possibly be? What's wrong? Why am I so unlucky? In reality, he cashed 10 out of 100 tournaments. This is back when they played 10% of the field. And he didn't recognize that he was just running hot for a short period of time, and now he's running poorly. That happens. So don't be shocked when a likely result happens. Let's see. WPT's in Bryanstown. You normally play cash games, but they have tournaments. Should you take a shot? What's the purpose of taking a shot? Why not just play the cash games? Just play the cash games, right? If you are a cash game player, what in your mind would make you think you should stop playing the cash games that you're profitable in? I presume you're profitable, maybe not. If you're not profitable, then you should probably not play. Unless you really want to get good at the game, in which case, stick to one thing and get good at it. But, this is another asinine thought a lot of people have, is I'm going to grind cash games and then take my winnings and play tournaments with them. So in reality, you are essentially taking all the profit from a game where you're profitable and then playing a game where you don't have very much experience. Why in the world would you want to do that? That makes literally no sense. That is very clearly the parlay mindset of I'm going to try to take whatever money I have and spin it up to a lot. And poker is a great get-rich-slow game, even though the media likes to glamorize the people who did get rich quick. But the vast majority of the winners, even if they do have a big score here and there, they did not get rich quick. They got slow. I mean, it took me 3 years to make... I turned $50 into about $350,000 over 3 years, which is great. Don't get me wrong. As an 18-year-old kid, 100K a year is great. But it wasn't until a few more years that I actually started having good results. This is me grinding / studying 15 hours a day, every day. No off days. A lot of people don't realize that. They don't see that. They just think, oh, Jonathan Littell shows up and wins. Whereas in reality, Jonathan Littell devoted all of his time to poker. Most people want to devote 20 hours a week to poker. You need to be devoting 80. Anytime you want to get good at something fast, completely immerse yourself in it. It's not going to be the best of your life, but it is what it is. Tips for identifying a bad table. Small pots, stoic people. Did I ever consider going to World Series Europe? No. I knew the Party Poker Caribbean Poker Party was right near it. It's in about a month. I knew also that the Jacksonville tournament was kind of near it. And I think World Series of Europe is kind of difficult because, like, compared to Party Poker and Poker Stars events, I can't just put the money in my account and then not have to deal with cash there. I think I have to actually wire the money or take money, which it doesn't work so well. So it's just like little headaches like that. Also, I went to World Series Europe a few years ago, and it was very small. Very, very, very small. I think there was an 8-game tournament the other day that had 50 people. Like, I'm not flying across the world to play a 50-person 8-game tournament. Sorry. It's not what I'm doing with my time. That's the other thing, is half the games are other games, which I don't view myself as being all that profitable in. So I'm going to only play 3 or 4 tournaments. Doesn't sound right. Was I grinding cash games or tournaments? I was grinding Limit Hold'em, and then I switched to sit and goes. No Limit Hold'em, sit and goes, which I guess are tournaments. Can anyone play in the Caribbean Poker Party? They can. You have to have money. We discussed the politics of having money earlier. You have to be able to buy in. But no, anybody can go to Baja Mar. It's a great resort. It's a fantastic place to take a vacation if you don't mind spending some money. And anybody can go play the tournaments. So that's going to be it for today. I have a phone call at 10 I need to prepare for. Also, we have the webinar for the poker coaching members today at 2 p.m. So if you can be there, definitely let me know. Well, don't let me know. Just show up. Do your homework. That's very important. The students who are doing their homework, turns out they're actually having pretty great results. I mean, going, again, back to putting in the time. When poker coaching started, we had no success stories. But now, a few years later, it turns out the people who have been with me the whole time, who are doing their homework, doing all of their quizzes. I can see how many quizzes people do, and some people have done literally all of them. Turns out those people who are actually devoting significant time to studying are now crushing it. Who'd have thought, right? They've devoted, even like, let's just say it takes them 2 hours. Let's say they devote an hour a week to studying poker. After a year, they've put in 365 hours of study. Compare that to someone who's put in no study. Well, clearly one's going to just be better than the other, right? And that's good. That's good. Don't be afraid to put in the work. Little changes, little tiny changes in your life will have disproportionate outcomes if you stick to them. Go to the gym is a great example, right? If you just go to the gym every other day, as opposed to never, you'll go from being in decent shape or from awful shape to decent shape, right? The swing of eating right, getting in the gym, compared to not eating right, not going to the gym, is dramatic. You will have more time in your life. You will live healthier. You'll be happier. And playing poker is relatively the same. If you spend time working, you will get better. And if you don't, you will become like the person who's in bad shape. And I want all of you to be in good shape. So that's me for today. Brian says, won $29,000 listening to me. Good job, good work. All right. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you all for being here. I will see the poker coaching members at 2 p.m. If you're not a poker coaching member, by the way, you can sign up completely for free for a trial membership, and I think you get to come to the webinar. Maybe not. Not sure about that. Avoid flavored drinks. I'm not sure. I just said don't eat unhealthily. Your drinks, in my opinion, if you're trying to be healthy, should consist of water and tea and coffee. Not a whole lot of tea and coffee, although green tea you can probably drink a ton of it. Green tea and white tea is probably okay, although white tea has somewhat high caffeine. Anyway, see this thing right here? This is my water cup. I drink about 20 of these a day. A lot. I actually thought about, always considering applying to be on the show Survivor, because it's a great show. But my biggest fear/concern is that I will not be able, I'm going to have to get off water is what it amounts to. Because there they have to go and get water and then boil the water, and that's not good. So anyway, I drink a ton of water, and I think I might suffer without water. It's very important to prepare ahead of time. My wife was talking about if she ever got on Survivor, she would not know how to make fire. I'm like, if you're going to get on Survivor, you sure better spend time hiring a fire making coach and learning how to make fire. Is that not obvious? It's like you'll get good at swimming, you'll get good at running, you'll get good at fire making, you'll get good at living on no calories. Like, for example, if I knew I was going to go on Survivor in 6 months, I'm done eating for a month. And I'm gonna recognize, all right, I can do this, right? And if I can't do this, figure out why I could not do this, and then learn, right? You're gonna find that it's very important to try things before you really do them. And I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about. Studying is very, very important. If you learn to play before you go play, you're gonna do way better than if you don't learn to play before you go play, and that's what I try to help all of you do. All right, so that's it for today. Enjoy yourselves. Good luck. Have fun. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. And have a great weekend. Bye-bye.